Day 8 of the installation brought a crisis that threatened to end their mission permanently. Reynolds was awakened in his quarters by the emergency klaxon, 3 short blasts followed by a pause, repeated continuously. Hull breach. He was on his feet and moving before he was fully conscious, grabbing his emergency kit and rushing toward the bridge. Report, he called as he entered the command center. Hull breach in Section D4, Torres replied from the communication station. It appears to be a progressive failure. One of the areas damaged by the meteorite impacts is giving way. Commander Walsh met him at the tactical display, her face grim in the emergency lighting. The breach is expanding, Captain. We're losing atmosphere faster than our recycling systems can compensate. How fast? Dr. Martinez looked up from her console, where she was monitoring atmospheric pressure throughout the ship. At current rate of loss, we have maybe 18 hours before pressure drops below safe levels. Engineering teams? They're trying to reach the breach site, but it's in an area we sealed off after the meteorite damage. The access corridors are partially depressurized and structurally unstable. Reynolds studied the ship's schematics, noting the location of the expanding breach. Section D4 was uncomfortably close to the fusion reactor installation area. If the breach continued to expand, it could compromise the entire engineering section. Can we seal it from the outside? Negative, Walsh replied. The damage is too extensive for external patches, and we don't have the equipment for EVA repairs in deep space. What about internal sealing? Rodriguez's voice came over the comm from the installation site. Captain, we'd need to shut down the reactor installation and reroute life support to emergency levels. Even then, we might not be able to access the breach site safely. It was an impossible choice. Continue the reactor installation and risk losing all atmosphere through the expanding breach, or shut down the installation to attempt repairs and lose their chance of reaching Alpha Centauri with adequate power. Options, Reynolds demanded. Dr. Patel's voice joined the conversation over the comm. Captain, we're approximately 36 hours from completing the parallel reactor installation. If we can maintain life support for that long, the increased power output would give us options for emergency repairs. And if we can't maintain life support that long? Silence from the engineering teams. Dr. Martinez provided the answer. Based on current atmospheric loss rates, we'll reach critical pressure levels in approximately 16 hours. Well before the reactor installation is complete. Reynolds felt the familiar weight of command decisions that could mean life or death for his entire crew. Around the bridge, his officers waited for orders that would determine their fate. All stations, emergency protocols, he announced. Dr. Martinez, implement immediate atmospheric conservation measures. Reduce oxygen flow to minimum safe levels, increase scrubbing efficiency, and seal off all non-essential compartments. Aye, Captain. Commander Walsh, organize damage control teams for the whole breach. I want continuous monitoring of the expansion rate and immediate notification if the situation deteriorates further. Yes, sir. Rodriguez, Dr. Patel, I need your honest assessment. Can you complete the reactor installation in 16 hours? The pause before their answer told Reynolds everything he needed to know. Negative, Captain, Rodriguez finally replied. We need at least 30 hours, maybe 36 if we encounter complications. Then we need to buy time, Reynolds said grimly. Dr. Martinez, what's the minimum crew required for essential operations? She consulted her displays quickly. 12 people, sir. Bridge crew, engineering, and medical. 47 passengers plus 7 additional crew members. Can we put them in emergency hibernation? Dr. Martinez's eyes widened. Captain, the emergency hibernation pods haven't been tested for extended use. They're designed for short-term life support during catastrophic emergencies. How short-term? 6 to 8 hours maximum. Beyond that, we risk permanent neurological damage or death. But even 6 hours would buy them precious time. Reynolds' mind raced through the calculations. Reduce atmospheric demand by putting most people in hibernation, continue the reactor installation with a skeleton crew, hope the whole breach doesn't expand catastrophically. We're going to implement rotating hibernation, he decided. Half the non-essential personnel go into the pods for 6 hours while the other half continue working. Then we rotate. Dr. Martinez, can our life support systems handle that reduced load? It would extend our atmospheric reserves significantly, she agreed. Maybe enough to complete the reactor installation. Make it happen. Commander Walsh, coordinate the rotation schedule. Priority to the reactor installation team, they work continuously. Everyone else rotates through hibernation in 6-hour shifts. As his officers implemented the emergency protocols, Reynolds made his way to the site of the hull breach. Section D4 was a maze of damaged corridors and emergency bulkheads, the air thick with the smell of leaking atmosphere and emergency sealant. The breach itself was a ragged tear in the ship's hull, approximately 2 meters long and expanding slowly but steadily. Emergency force fields contained the worst of the atmospheric loss, but Reynolds could see the fields flickering as they struggled to maintain integrity. Captain, one of the damage control technicians reported, the force fields are drawing significant power. And they're not designed for long-term operation under these conditions. How long before they fail? Unknown, sir. Could be hours, could be minutes. Reynolds studied the breach, noting the stress patterns in the surrounding hull plating. The meteorite impacts had created multiple fracture points, and the hull was slowly failing along those stress lines. What would it take to permanently seal this breach? The technician consulted his equipment. We'd need to weld new hull plating over the entire damaged area, then pressurize and test the seal. But we can't do that kind of work while maintaining atmosphere in this section. What if we evacuated this entire section and sealed it off? That might work, but we'd lose access to several critical systems. And the breach expansion might continue into adjacent sections. Every solution seemed to create new problems. Reynolds was beginning to understand why spaceship disasters so often ended in total loss. The interconnected nature of ship systems meant that failures cascaded rapidly beyond any crew's ability to control. He returned to the bridge to find the rotating hibernation protocol already underway. Half the passengers were sealed in emergency pods, their metabolic rates reduced to minimal levels. The immediate reduction in atmospheric demand was noticeable. Oxygen levels throughout the ship began to stabilize. "How's the reactor installation proceeding?" he asked. "Ahead of schedule with the reduced crew load," Rodriguez reported. "We might be able to complete the installation in 28 hours instead of 36. And the whole breach?" "Expanding slowly but steadily," Walsh replied. "The force fields are holding, but they're consuming 12% of our total power output." Dr. Martinez looked up from her calculations. "Captain, even with the rotating hibernation, we're walking a tightrope. If we lose the force fields containing the whole breach, or if the breach expands significantly, we won't have enough atmospheric reserves to complete the reactor installation. And if we don't complete the reactor installation, we die slowly instead of quickly," she replied with characteristic bluntness. Reynolds returned to his command chair, studying the tactical display that showed their ship's condition. Red indicators marked damaged systems, yellow showed degraded capabilities, and green indicated functional systems. There was precious little green on the display. "All stations, maintain current protocols," he announced. "We're committed to this course of action. In approximately 26 hours, we'll either have a functional reactor installation and the power to complete emergency repairs, or we'll have failed entirely." He activated his personal log for what might be the final time. Captain's log, Day 8 of reactor installation. The Prometheus is facing simultaneous system failures that threaten mission completion. We have implemented emergency protocols that may allow us to survive long enough to complete critical repairs. If these efforts fail, this log will serve as a record of our attempt to reach Alpha Centauri against overwhelming odds. Reynolds paused, listening to the sounds of his ship, the hiss of emergency life support, the distant hum of the reactor installation, the quiet conversations of his crew working to save their lives. "Whatever the outcome, I want it recorded that this crew performed with distinction under impossible circumstances. They have embodied the best of human determination and ingenuity." Around him, the bridge crew continued their vigil, monitoring systems that grew more precarious with each passing hour. In the engineering sections, teams worked frantically to complete an installation that had never been attempted before. And somewhere in the darkness ahead, Alpha Centauri waited with its precious cargo of humanity's hopes and dreams. Hour 22 of the reactor installation brought both triumph and terror. Reynolds stood in the main engineering section, watching as Dr. Patel and Rodriguez made final adjustments to the quantum stabilization fields that would control the new fusion generator. The massive cylindrical unit hummed with contained energy, its surface gleaming under the harsh work lights. Field alignment is holding steady, Dr. Kim reported from her monitoring station. Magnetic bottle integrity at 97%. Power conduit connections verified, Dr. Torres added. All safety systems are showing green. But even as the reactor installation neared completion, the ship's other systems continued to deteriorate. The hull breach in Section D4 had expanded by another 30 centimeters, and 2 additional stress fractures had appeared in adjacent compartments. Force field generators are operating at 93% capacity, Torres reported from the bridge. Power consumption has increased to 15% of our total output. Dr. Martinez's voice joined the conversation over the comm. Captain, atmospheric pressure has dropped another 2%. We're now at 87% of normal pressure, still safe, but approaching the threshold where we'll see significant performance degradation in the crew. The rotating hibernation protocol had bought them precious time, but they were rapidly approaching the limits of what their damaged life support systems could provide. Every breath was precious, every hour a calculated risk. How much longer? Reynolds asked the installation team. 4 hours for final calibration and testing, Dr. Patel replied. But Captain, we haven't been able to run full-scale tests on the integration systems. We're essentially performing the first startup with the actual reactor. Rodriguez nodded grimly. All our simulations look good, but there are always variables we can't account for until we actually fire up the system. What are the risks? Best case, everything works perfectly and we have 4 times our previous power output, Dr. Kim said. Worst case. Complete magnetic containment failure, Dr. Patel finished. Both the new generator and our existing reactor lose containment simultaneously. How likely is the worst-case scenario? The engineers exchanged glances. Less than 5% probability, Rodriguez estimated. But the consequences? Reynolds understood. Even a small chance of total failure meant vaporizing the ship and everyone aboard. But the alternative, slow death from atmospheric loss and system failures, was approaching certainty. Continue with the installation, he ordered. But I want every safety protocol implemented, every backup system ready, and escape pod preparations completed just in case. As he spoke, Commander Walsh appeared at his shoulder with a data pad full of emergency information. Captain, we have additional problems. The hull breach expansion has compromised the structural integrity of Deck 7. If that section fails, we could lose access to the main computer core. Backup systems? Limited capacity. We could maintain basic ship operations, but navigation and complex system controls would be severely degraded. Dr. Martinez joined them, her face pale with exhaustion and concern. Captain, I've been running projections on our life support reserves. Even if the reactor installation succeeds, we may not have enough atmospheric capacity to reach Alpha Centauri. What do you mean? The ongoing atmospheric loss from the hull breach, combined with the strain we've placed on our recycling systems, has contaminated approximately 30% of our breathing gas with trace toxins. The scrubbing systems can handle it short-term, but over weeks or months. She didn't need to finish. They would reach Alpha Centauri with a more powerful ship but a crew slowly dying from atmospheric poisoning. Solutions? Reynolds asked. The new reactor will provide enough power to completely rebuild our atmospheric processing systems, she replied. But only if we can seal the hull breaches first. And we'll need several weeks of full-capacity scrubbing to clean the contaminated atmosphere. Every problem seemed to require solutions that depended on other solutions not yet achieved. Reynolds felt like he was trying to build a house of cards during an earthquake. One crisis at a time, he decided. First, we complete the reactor installation. Then we use the additional power to address our other problems. Hour 24 brought the moment they had all been working toward, and dreading. All systems show ready for initial startup, Dr. Patel announced from the reactor control station. Quantum stabilization fields are aligned, magnetic bottles are stable, and all safety systems are active. Around the engineering section, the installation team stood ready at their monitoring stations. On the bridge, Reynolds watched secondary displays that would show them immediately if something went catastrophically wrong. All stations, prepare for reactor startup, Reynolds announced shipwide. Emergency protocols remain in effect. Initiating startup sequence, Dr. Patel called out. Field generators coming online, now. The ship's lighting flickered as massive amounts of power flowed through the new systems. For a moment, Reynolds feared they were about to lose all power, but the lights stabilized at a brighter level than they had maintained since the meteorite damage. Magnetic bottle formation, stable, Dr. Kim reported. Plasma injection, beginning. On the displays, Reynolds could see real-time readouts of the fusion reaction starting within the new generator. Hydrogen nuclei heated to millions of degrees, contained by magnetic fields stronger than anything found naturally in the solar system. Fusion reaction, initiated, Rodriguez called out, his voice tight with concentration. Power output rising, 20% of rated capacity, 40%, 60%. Field interactions are stable, Dr. Torres added. No interference with the existing reactor. 80%, 90%, full rated power output achieved, Rodriguez announced. A cheer went up from the engineering team, but Reynolds remained focused on the safety displays. So far, everything was working exactly as designed. Power grid integration, successful, Dr. Kim reported. We're now generating 412% of our previous power capacity. For the first time in days, Reynolds allowed himself to feel hopeful. They had accomplished something that had never been attempted before, a major reactor installation in deep space using equipment not designed for their ship. Excellent work, everyone, he announced. Rodriguez, how quickly can we bring damaged systems back online? Give me 2 hours to run full diagnostics, then we can start restoring systems in order of priority, the chief engineer replied. Life support improvements first, then navigation, then hull breach repairs. But their celebration was short-lived. Dr. Martinez's voice cut through the mood from the bridge. Captain, we have a new problem. The power increase from the reactor startup has destabilized the force fields containing the hull breach. They're failing. Reynolds felt his heart sink. They had solved one critical problem only to have it cause another. How long before total failure? Minutes, maybe less. The force field generators weren't designed to handle the power fluctuations from the reactor startup. Can we compensate? Working on it, Rodriguez replied, his hands flying over the engineering controls. I'm trying to stabilize the power flow to the force field generators, but the new reactor's power output is more variable than our old system. On the bridge displays, Reynolds watched the force field strength indicators fluctuate wildly. The fields containing their precious atmosphere were oscillating between 60 and 90% strength, and dropping toward failure levels. All hands, prepare for potential decompression, he announced shipwide. Emergency protocols now in effect. Then, just as the situation seemed hopeless, Dr. Patel called out from engineering, Captain, I have an idea. The new reactor has incredibly precise field control. We could use it to generate a localized magnetic field that might reinforce the failing force fields. Do it, Reynolds ordered without hesitation. Adjusting reactor field geometry, redirecting 15% of the magnetic bottle energy to external field projection. The force field indicators stabilized, then began to strengthen. Within minutes, they were showing 120% of normal strength, stronger than they had been since the hull breach first occurred. That's it, Dr. Patel announced with satisfaction. The new reactor is now containing the hull breach using a directed magnetic field. As long as the reactor operates normally, we can maintain atmospheric integrity indefinitely. Reynolds slumped in his command chair, finally allowing the tension of the past weeks to drain from his body. They had done it. Against all odds, using equipment not designed for their ship, working with minimal life support and failing systems, they had accomplished the impossible. "All stations, stand down from emergency protocols," he announced. "Begin normal system restoration. Commander Walsh, coordinate with all department heads on bringing the ship back to full operational status." As his crew began the process of restoring their damaged vessel, Reynolds activated his personal log once more. Captain's log, Day 10 of reactor installation. The Prometheus has successfully integrated a modular fusion generator with her existing power systems, increasing our energy output by over 400%. This accomplishment was achieved through the combined efforts of our engineering crew and the expert civilian scientists we are transporting to Alpha Centauri. He paused, watching as normal lighting returned to the bridge for the first time in over a week. "We now have sufficient power to complete emergency repairs, restore full life support capacity, and continue our mission to Alpha Centauri. Estimated arrival time with our enhanced propulsion capability is 8 days, 4 hours. Reynolds smiled for the first time since the meteorite impacts. The colonists of Alpha Centauri will receive their supplies ahead of schedule, delivered by a ship more powerful than any that has made this journey before. With unlimited power flowing from their new reactor installation, the Prometheus underwent a remarkable transformation. Reynolds walked through corridors that hummed with activity as repair teams worked around the clock to restore damaged systems and install improvements that had been impossible with their previous power limitations. "Captain," Dr. Martinez called from her science station as he entered the main laboratory, "you need to see this." She gestured to a holographic display showing the ship's atmospheric composition in real time. For the first time since the meteorite impacts, all indicators showed green. "We've completely purged the contaminated atmosphere from the damaged sections," she reported with obvious satisfaction. "The new reactor provides enough power to run our atmospheric processors at triple capacity. We're now breathing cleaner air than when we left Earth. And our life support reserves? Unlimited, for practical purposes. We can maintain full atmospheric pressure and composition for the entire crew indefinitely. The new reactor's power output is so high that life support draws less than 2% of our total capacity." Reynolds continued his tour, marveling at the changes throughout the ship. In the engineering sections, teams were installing entirely new systems made possible by their abundant power supply. Emergency lighting had been replaced by full-spectrum illumination. Damaged computer cores were being supplemented with backup units that had previously been kept offline to conserve power. "Captain," Rodriguez greeted him in the main engineering bay, "I wanted to show you what we've accomplished with the hull repairs." Where the meteorite impacts had created ragged tears in the ship's armor, Reynolds now saw smooth patches of newly fabricated hull plating. But more impressive were the improvements beyond simple repairs. "We've installed enhanced deflector grid generators throughout the damaged sections," Rodriguez explained. "The new reactor provides so much power that we can operate deflector shields at 3 times their original capacity. What does that mean for our defensive capabilities? We could transit that same debris field we encountered without taking any damage at all," Rodriguez replied with obvious pride. "And we've improved our sensor arrays, navigation systems, and propulsion efficiency." Dr. Kim approached from the reactor monitoring station, where she had been overseeing the fusion generator's performance. "Captain, the reactor is exceeding all our projections. It's operating at 108% of rated capacity with perfect stability. Any concerns about sustained operation at that level?" "None whatsoever. The quantum stabilization fields are incredibly robust. If anything, this reactor design is more stable than your ship's original power plant." Commander Walsh joined them, carrying a data pad with their updated mission timeline. "Captain, with our enhanced propulsion capability, we can reach Alpha Centauri in 6 days instead of 8. How is that possible?" "The new reactor provides enough power to operate our engines at 140% of their design thrust output," she explained. Dr. Torres has been optimizing our navigation systems with the improved sensor arrays, and we can now plot more efficient trajectories. It was almost too good to believe. They had started this crisis as a damaged ship limping toward their destination with failing systems and dwindling life support. Now they were faster, more powerful, and more capable than ever before. What about our passengers? Reynolds asked. Excellent condition, Dr. Martinez reported. The improved life support and medical systems have eliminated the fatigue and hypoxia symptoms they were experiencing. Dr. Patel and his team are actually using the enhanced power supply to conduct advanced research during the remaining transit time. As if summoned by the mention of his name, Dr. Patel appeared in the engineering section, accompanied by several of his colleagues. All of them looked remarkably energetic compared to their condition during the emergency installation. Captain, Dr. Patel greeted him warmly. I wanted to personally thank you for the decision to install our reactor components. Not only did it save the ship, but we've learned things about fusion technology integration that will be valuable for future starship designs. Dr. Kim nodded enthusiastically. The techniques we've developed for adapting modular reactors to existing ship systems could revolutionize how we upgrade older vessels. Every ship in the fleet could potentially benefit from this technology. In the colony? Reynolds asked. We've used one of the reactor modules you were transporting. Will that affect your mission? Actually, we're ahead of schedule, Dr. Torres replied. We were originally planning to install 3 reactor modules at Kepler Station over a period of 6 months. Now we'll arrive early with 2 modules and complete technical documentation of an installation that's already proven successful. Dr. Patel activated a portable display showing power consumption projections for the Alpha Centauri colony. The 2 remaining reactor modules will provide more than enough power for the colony's expansion plans. And the installation techniques we've developed will allow much faster deployment than our original timeline. It occurred to Reynolds that their crisis had inadvertently advanced human space technology by years, possibly decades. The integration techniques they had pioneered would be studied and replicated throughout the fleet. Dr. Patel, I'd like you to prepare a complete technical report on the installation procedures, Reynolds requested. Everything we've learned should be shared with Earth and the other colonies. Already underway, Captain. Dr. Kim and Dr. Torres are documenting every aspect of the process. When we reach Alpha Centauri, we'll have a complete manual for emergency reactor installations in deep space. As the group dispersed to their various duties, Reynolds remained in the engineering section, studying the massive fusion generator that had saved their mission. The cylindrical unit hummed quietly, its surface warm to the touch from the contained stellar fire within. Commander Walsh approached him. Captain, there's something else. The enhanced sensor array has detected several interesting objects in the Alpha Centauri system. Oh? What appear to be asteroid clusters with unusual mineral compositions. If our readings are correct, there may be significant resources available for mining operations. The colony could become self-sufficient much sooner than originally planned. More good news. Reynolds was beginning to wonder if their crisis had been a blessing in disguise. Commander, prepare a detailed report on the sensor findings. Include recommendations for future survey missions. Already in progress, sir. Reynolds made his way back to the bridge, where he found his crew working with an energy and efficiency he hadn't seen since leaving Earth. The crisis had tested them all, but it had also demonstrated their capability to overcome seemingly impossible challenges. Navigation, what's our current status? He asked. 5 days, 14 hours to Alpha Centauri orbit, Chen replied. All systems nominal, enhanced deflector shields active, and we're maintaining optimal velocity. Communications, send a message to Kepler Station. Inform Director Moore that we'll be arriving ahead of schedule with enhanced capabilities and additional research data. Aye, Captain. Reynolds settled into his command chair, looking out at the stars ahead. The Alpha Centauri system was still too distant to see with the naked eye, but their enhanced sensors showed it clearly on the tactical display. Captain's log, Day 13 since the meteorite impacts. The Prometheus has been transformed from a damaged vessel into the most advanced ship in the human fleet. Our enhanced power systems, improved sensors, and upgraded defensive capabilities represent a significant advancement in Starship technology. He paused, considering the journey they had taken, from disaster to triumph through human ingenuity and determination. More importantly, we have demonstrated that humanity's expansion into space is not just about reaching new destinations, but about growing stronger through the challenges we encounter along the way. The crew and passengers of the Prometheus have written a new chapter in the story of human space exploration. Around him, the bridge hummed with quiet efficiency. Ahead lay Alpha Centauri and humanity's newest home among the stars. The Alpha Centauri system resolved gradually on the Prometheus's enhanced displays as they approached their destination. Proxima Centauri burned red-orange in the center of the tactical screen, its small planetary companion appearing as a blue-green dot that represented humanity's most distant outpost. Kepler station responding to our hail, Torres reported from communications. Director Moore is requesting immediate conference upon arrival. Reynolds nodded, studying the sensor displays that showed remarkable detail of the system ahead. Their enhanced sensor arrays were detecting structures and activities that would have been invisible to their original equipment. "What do we see out there?" he asked Dr. Martinez. "Impressive expansion since the last detailed surveys," she replied, manipulating the holographic display to highlight human structures. "Kepler station has grown significantly. I count at least 47 separate habitat modules and 3 major industrial complexes. And the mining operations? Extensive. The colonists have established automated mining platforms on 12 different asteroids. The resource extraction appears to be proceeding ahead of all projections." Commander Walsh approached with a data pad containing their cargo manifest. "Captain, I've been reviewing our delivery requirements with the enhanced inventory systems. The 2 remaining reactor modules will provide more power than the colony originally requested for the next 5 years of expansion." "What about the terraforming equipment?" "In perfect condition. The enhanced storage monitoring systems detected and corrected several minor environmental fluctuations that could have degraded the nanobots during transit." Dr. Patel joined them on the bridge, carrying his own data pad with technical specifications. "Captain, I've completed the installation manual for the reactor integration procedures. It's a comprehensive guide that any qualified engineering team could follow to upgrade their vessel." "How comprehensive?" "Detailed enough that Earth's shipyards could retrofit the entire fleet with modular reactor systems," Dr. Kim added, appearing beside her colleague. "The power improvements we've demonstrated would revolutionize interstellar travel." Reynolds felt a surge of pride in what they had accomplished. The Prometheus was no longer just a cargo vessel completing a supply run, she was carrying technology that would advance human space exploration by decades. "Time to orbital insertion?" he asked. "4 hours, 18 minutes, Chin replied. "Kepler station is requesting that we dock at the new heavy cargo facility. It's specifically designed to handle vessels of our size and cargo capacity." "New facility?" Dr. Martinez consulted her sensor readings. "Built since the last reports we received from the colony. It appears they've been quite busy expanding their infrastructure." As they drew closer to Proxima Centauri b, the scope of the colony's growth became increasingly apparent. What had been a small research outpost when the Prometheus departed Earth had evolved into a thriving industrial center. "Captain," Dr. Torres called from his monitoring station, "the colony's power output readings are remarkable. They're generating almost as much energy as a major Earth city." "Population growth?" "Preliminary scans suggest at least 4,000 inhabitants, possibly more," Dr. Martinez reported. "Significant increase from the 3,000 we were expecting." Commander Walsh frowned at her tactical display. "Captain, I'm detecting what appear to be defensive installations around the colony. Automated defense platforms, sensor arrays, and what might be shield generators." "Defensive installations?" Reynolds' attention sharpened. "Against what?" "Unknown, sir. But the colony has clearly prioritized security since our departure." It was a reminder that Alpha Centauri, for all its promise as humanity's new home, remained an alien world in an alien star system. The colonists had learned caution during their years of isolation. Standard approach protocols, Reynolds ordered. Full identification transmissions and complete manifest data. Let's make sure they know exactly who we are and what we're carrying. Prometheus, this is Kepler Station Control, came a new voice over the communications system. We have you on our scopes and have verified your identity. Director Moore extends her personal welcome and requests immediate conference upon docking. Acknowledged, Kepler Station, Reynolds replied. Request permission to dock at the heavy cargo facility. Permission granted. Bay 7 is prepared for your arrival. Be advised, we have significant news to share regarding system developments since your departure. Understood. Prometheus out. As they approached the docking facility, Reynolds was impressed by the scale of construction the colonists had achieved. The heavy cargo bay was larger than most Earth-based shipyards, with sophisticated handling equipment and multiple docking ports for simultaneous operations. They've been busy, Walsh observed. Very busy, Dr. Martinez agreed. The power requirements for a facility this size would be enormous. They must have made significant advances in their energy production capabilities. The docking procedure went smoothly, with Kepler Station's automated systems guiding the Prometheus into perfect alignment with the cargo bay. As the massive doors closed behind them and atmosphere was restored to the bay, Reynolds felt a sense of completion that had been building for years. All systems secure, Chen reported. Docking clamps engaged, umbilical connections established. Dr. Patel, prepare your team for immediate disembarkation, Reynolds ordered. Commander Walsh, coordinate with station personnel for cargo offloading. Dr. Martinez, I want complete sensor scans of the station and surrounding system uploaded to our databases. Captain, Torres interrupted, Director Moore is requesting immediate conference in the station's main briefing room. She says the information is classified and urgent. Classified and urgent. That was not what Reynolds had expected for a routine supply delivery. Commander Walsh, you have the ship. Dr. Patel, you're with me. Let's find out what's been happening in Alpha Centauri. The docking umbilical led to a bustling corridor filled with station personnel eager to greet the new arrivals. But Reynolds noticed that many wore uniforms he didn't recognize, not the civilian clothes typical of research colonies, but military-style outfits suggesting a more organized, possibly more threatened community. Director Moore met them at the entrance to the briefing room. She had aged visibly since Reynolds last saw her, with new lines around her eyes and a bearing that suggested constant stress. Captain Reynolds, Dr. Patel, she greeted them warmly but with obvious urgency. Thank you for arriving ahead of schedule. Your early arrival is more important than you realize. She led them into a sophisticated briefing room equipped with holographic displays and security systems that seemed military in nature. Director, what's the situation? Reynolds asked directly. Moore activated the room's central display, showing a three-dimensional map of the Alpha Centauri system. Multiple red indicators marked locations throughout the outer system. 6 months ago, we detected artificial structures in the outer system, she began without preamble. Initially, we thought they might be ancient artifacts, remnants of some previous civilization. Initially? Dr. Patel asked. They're not ancient. They're active, and they're expanding. Moore manipulated the display to show time-lapse imagery of the outer system. Unknown vessels, possibly robotic, building what appear to be industrial complexes on several asteroids and ice bodies. Reynolds felt a chill run down his spine. Alien activity? We don't know. The structures don't respond to communication attempts, but they haven't shown any hostile behavior either. They seem to be focused on resource extraction and construction. Construction of what? Moore zoomed the display to show detailed images of the alien structures. Massive geometric complexes stretched across asteroid surfaces, with ships moving between them in precise, purposeful patterns. We call them the builders, she continued. They appear to be constructing some kind of massive infrastructure, but we can't determine its purpose. The scale is beyond anything we've ever imagined. Dr. Patel leaned forward, studying the images intently. Captain, this changes everything. We're not just delivering supplies to a colony anymore. We're potentially making first contact with an alien civilization. Or providing defense against one, more added grimly. The reactor components you're carrying aren't just for power generation anymore. We need them for defensive systems. Reynolds studied the alien structures, his mind racing through the implications. The Prometheus had come to deliver supplies to a peaceful research colony. Instead, they had arrived at humanity's first interstellar military outpost, facing potential contact with unknown alien intelligence. Director, what are your immediate needs? Everything you're carrying, and more. The reactor modules for defensive power systems, the terraforming equipment for rapid expansion of our infrastructure, and the technical expertise of your passengers for developing new defensive technologies. She paused, looking directly at Reynolds. Captain, I'm formally requesting that the Prometheus remain in the Alpha Centauri system as our primary defense vessel. Your enhanced capabilities make you the most powerful ship in human space. Reynolds felt the weight of command settle more heavily than ever before. They had come to make a delivery and return to Earth. Now they were being asked to stand guard at humanity's most distant outpost, facing unknown aliens with unknown intentions. I'll need to consult with my crew, he replied. Of course. But Captain, humanity's future among the stars may depend on your decision. As Reynolds left the briefing room, his mind was already working through the implications. The Prometheus was no longer just a cargo ship. They had become humanity's first line of defense in an alien star system. The real adventure was just beginning. 6 months after their arrival at Alpha Centauri, Captain Reynolds stood on the observation deck of Kepler Station, watching the Prometheus conduct patrol operations in the outer system. The ship's enhanced capabilities made her an ideal sentinel, her advanced sensors and improved deflector systems providing early warning of any changes in the alien structures. The Builders, as the colonists had named them, continued their mysterious construction projects throughout the system. But their relationship with humanity had evolved from potential threat to cautious coexistence. Captain, Dr. Patel approached from the research center, carrying a data pad with their latest findings. The monthly report on builder activity. Reynolds accepted the pad, scanning the summary of observations and interactions. The alien structures had grown significantly, but they showed no interest in the human colony beyond occasional sensor sweeps that seemed more curious than threatening. Any new developments? Actually, yes. Dr. Kim believes she's detected a pattern in their construction activities that suggests they're building some kind of computational array. The scale is massive, possibly approaching the processing power of an entire planetary civilization. For what purpose? Unknown. But the energy requirements would be enormous. Fortunately, our reactor installations have provided more than enough power for both colony expansion and defensive systems. Through the observation port, Reynolds could see the fruits of their enhanced capabilities. Kepler Station had grown into a major spaceport with multiple docking facilities and industrial complexes. The colony's population had swelled to over 6,000 inhabitants as word of Alpha Centauri's success reached Earth. Commander Walsh joined them, carrying her own reports on fleet operations. Captain, the monthly supply convoy from Earth arrived yesterday. 4 ships this time, including a heavy cruiser with enhanced defensive capabilities. Any news from Earth? The reactor integration techniques we developed have been implemented across the entire deep space fleet. Every ship larger than a courier now carries modular reactor systems based on our designs. Dr. Martinez appeared at his shoulder, having overheard the conversation. The terraforming nanobots have exceeded all expectations. We now have 3 separate sub-colonies on the planet's surface, each with independent infrastructure and defensive capabilities. It had been an eventful 6 months. The Prometheus had not only completed her original mission but had become the foundation for humanity's most successful expansion into interstellar space. Dr. Patel, Reynolds said, what's the status of your team's integration with the colony? Excellent. Dr. Kim has established the system's premier fusion engineering facility, and Dr. Torres is heading the development of next-generation starship designs. We've gone from passengers to permanent residents. In the builder situation? Dr. Martinez consulted her latest research data. Fascinating but stable. They've shown no hostile intentions, and their technology appears to be focused on information processing rather than military applications. We're maintaining careful observation, but there's no immediate threat. Reynold nodded, studying the tactical display that showed both human and alien activity throughout the system. It was a delicate balance, but one that seemed to be working. "Captain," Walsh said quietly, "Earth has sent orders requesting the Prometheus's return for fleet modernization using our integrated reactor systems. And your recommendation?" "The colony's defense is well established now. The cruiser Defiant and her escort squadron provide adequate protection. We could return to Earth and share our improvements with the entire fleet." It was tempting. Reynold had been away from Earth for over 5 years, and the prospect of returning home was appealing. But Alpha Centauri had become something more than a distant assignment. It had become humanity's beachhead among the stars. "Actually," Dr. Patel interjected, "there's another possibility. The construction techniques we've developed here, combined with the abundant resources in the asteroid belt, could support the construction of an entirely new class of starship." "What kind of starship?" "Exploration vessels designed specifically for contact with alien civilizations. Enhanced sensors, defensive capabilities, and communication systems based on what we've learned about the builders." Dr. Kim appeared in the observation lounge, drawn by the conversation. "We could build ships that are not just faster and more powerful, but specifically designed for the challenges of interstellar diplomacy and exploration." Reynold considered the possibilities. The Prometheus had begun as a simple cargo vessel and evolved into something unprecedented. Perhaps it was time to take the next step. "Commander Walsh, send a message to Earth. The Prometheus will remain in the Alpha Centauri system as the flagship of humanity's first interstellar exploration fleet. We'll work with the colony to design and build vessels specifically intended for contact with alien civilizations." "Aye, Captain." As his officers dispersed to implement the new mission parameters, Reynold remained at the observation port, watching the stars. The Alpha Centauri system had become more than a destination. It had become humanity's launching point for true galactic exploration. The Prometheus had carried them across the void between stars, survived impossible challenges, and been reborn as something greater than her creators had ever imagined. Now she would lead humanity's next great adventure, peaceful contact with the alien intelligences that shared the galaxy. Captain's log, final entry. The Prometheus has completed her original mission of delivering critical supplies to the Alpha Centauri colony. But our real mission is just beginning. We have established humanity's first permanent presence in an alien star system, developed technologies that will revolutionize space exploration, and made peaceful contact with an alien civilization. Reynold paused, looking out at the Proxima Centauri system that had become humanity's second home. The journey to Alpha Centauri tested us in ways we never expected, but it also revealed the extraordinary potential of human ingenuity, determination, and cooperation. The crew and passengers of the Prometheus have proven that no challenge is insurmountable when we work together toward a common goal. He smiled, watching a new ship under construction in the orbital shipyards, the first vessel designed specifically for interstellar exploration and diplomacy. To future explorers who will push even deeper into the galaxy, the path we have blazed was forged through trial, error, and the unwavering belief that humanity belongs among the stars. The universe is vast, full of wonders and challenges we cannot yet imagine. But whatever lies ahead, we will meet it with the same spirit that carried the Prometheus across the long road to Alpha Centauri. In the distance, alien structures glittered in the light of the red dwarf star, monuments to intelligence and purpose beyond human understanding. And alongside them, human habitats and ships represented humanity's determination to take its place among the civilizations of the galaxy. The Prometheus had brought them across impossible distances to this moment. Now the real exploration could begin.